Tiny here from Off Tap Brewing. Time for a brew. Nice coffee in the morning, get you going. Today's subject will be fermentation, I think. I've had many conversations with my friends in the past, homebrew friends, and when I first started out I couldn't work out why my beers always tasted better in winter. Why my winter brews, the ales I brewed in winter, my lagers I brewed in winter, why everything tasted so good. And then come into the summer, everything starts to foul up and you're scratching your head wondering, you know, what didn't I clean properly? Let's pull spigots apart, let's do this, let's do that. Let's buy new fermenters, you know, and start freaking out because everything's starting to taste like crap. Well, controlled fermentation, temperature is the key, or one of the keys to better beer. I think I showed you in one of my other videos a DIY styling video of me and my idea for my brackets for the temp controllers. Now these temp controllers in Australia for home brewers I think are a must for our fridges, an absolute must. But a mistake a lot of people make is setting them up properly, getting them to run in our fridges properly. Now I'll show you inside this fridge here. I'm actually crash chilling a Lager Boys lager in this fridge. As you can see at the back here we have a plate. Now that's the chilling plate. All fridges have them. They either have them in the freezer, and if they have them in the freezer they're probably behind plastic. Little fan blowing out there, but the chill plate's in there. Definitely. That's a brew that I'm putting on today for the wife. She brewed that one. The cold air comes out through there, through that little hole in there, and that's what makes the fridge run. So there's no actual plate in there. It's not big enough to have a plate. But a mistake people make when they're setting up a temperature controlled fridge is not letting the plate have opportunity to defrost itself. You must allow that plate to defrost. If it's getting icy, then we all know Eskimos live in igloos. Igloos are warm inside, ice must insulate. So if we've got an ice barrier on that chilling plate, your fridge is working overtime to do nothing. You must let it defrost, you must let the water dribble off and drain away. The way I do that is, what helps me is a fan. I run a fan in there, it helps to circulate the air. It also helps to bring the hot air up and defrost the plate when the plate's on its downtime. And that has worked for me for a long time. I think temperature controllers and fans in your fridge go hand in hand. Definitely. I'll close that because I'm trying to crash chill that bad boy. Now, we must also set them up. They run different cycles. You can't just say I want 2 degrees either, or 0.2 of a degree either side of your fermentation temperature, because that fridge is going to come on and off, and that plate is going to freeze. You're going to get an insulation effect happening, and when that happens your fridge will just stay on. And if you have one with the plate in the freezer and you're doing that, the ice will block in the air vent that is supposed to go down to the fridge. It's happened with this one quite a few times. I have to shut it down, let it defrost, and then turn it on again. It's a no-brainer. It takes a couple of hours to defrost the ice, but it does and will happen. And unless you know what's going on with your fridges, you know, when you put your temperature controller on and you start running it, you're keeping a visual all the time. You're taking notes, you're looking at it, you're going, okay, this fridge is cycling for 2/3 of the day, for 1/3 of the day it's sitting idle, broken up into specific times, into times. Well, that's alright for a fridge. That's good cycling. Any fridge or freezer will cycle that much. But when that plate frosts over, you're going to have dramas. That fridge will run, it'll be on. It'll just be running, and it won't be getting colder. It'll actually be insulating itself. So we set the temperature control unit up, we put it in, we run our fridge for a few days to see how it's behaving. We check our airflow if it's a plate in the top. We look at the plate all the time. This is before we put a fermenter in there, because we don't want the fridge to ice up and you want a 12-degree fermentation and you're going to get a 25-degree fermentation because it's insulated itself. So we watch the fridge and we watch its behaviour for a couple of days and we work it out. We need to have a compressor delay time on there, 2 or 3 minutes, just to, you know, just to push it out, push the fridge cycling out that little bit further. With my idea of running the fans in the fridges, I don't have compressor delay times. I put that on 0 because put a fan in your fridge, you know, you'll notice the difference straight away. It will just be brilliant. So we've watched it for a few days. We know how it behaves. We know how to get it to run on our fermentation cycle properly, so it's not going to insulate on us. Then we put our fermenter in and we lock it away. We close it off and we come back every couple of days and check on it. Just keep an eye on how your motor's running, your temperature control unit. Keep an eye on that. Make sure it is staying at your desired temperature. As soon as fermentation's finished, click the button, set your temperature down, crash chill if you're kegging, crash chill the beer. Pulls the yeast out of suspension, sinks to the bottom, Bob's your uncle, keg your beer. If you leave it crash chilling for 4 or 5 days, you don't even need to filter. I mean, it comes out crystal clear, as long as you don't pull anything up from the bottom or stir it or agitate it too much. Now, I have fallen victim to this little thing. On my fridge here, I've got a hasp and staple, just to make sure that it doesn't come open. You know, it makes sure that I don't leave it open, and not that it doesn't come open. After a few home brews, it's going to get left open, and it's happened before, it'll happen again. Not to that fridge, it's got the hasp and staples on it. But I did have another little fridge, another little tiny one that somebody gave me, and I thought straight away, hasp and staple, so I can lock it up. Pulled out my drill, drilled a hole into the side of the fridge. Yeah, obviously you want your hasp and staple to go there, lock onto there. Well, as I found out, to stop seals from freezing on fridges and freezers, the gas return line runs around our door seals, stops them from sticking. So I've drilled in, face full of gas, ruined fridge, dead, in the bin, took it to the dump, no good. You must, if you're gonna drill a hole in the side of your fridge, you must find out where that heat return line is running, and that's where one of these comes into play, an infrared thermometer. You can go along the side of your fridge and it will pick up a hot point. Obviously that hot point will be the gas return. I mean, that one's 31 degrees and then it's 25 degrees on the fridge, so that will help. Another trick I've seen being used is a bit of metho and corn flour or flour or something, and you rub it on. The metho dries really quickly where the heat line is, and then you get the dry patch. So that's another test you can do. Or just don't drill on the side of your fridge, just make sure you close them. That's always a handy dandy thing to do, close fridges. Now, desired temperature of yeast. Any kit in kilo you buy, will have on the tin, you know, its fermentation range, up to 28 degrees. So you're going to put an ale yeast down and it's going to create its own heat in the fermenter and hopefully not exceed that. Well, here in Brisbane, it'll exceed it straight away. It'll just go poof in the heat of the day if you just leave it out. That will release off flavours, esters. It will make your beer undrinkable if it gets too hot, even just for a couple of days. It'll change the flavour of your beer dramatically. My suggestion is, when you get your tin, if you are doing kit and kilo, is to ask your home brewer what yeast will suit your beer best. I currently am exploring the SAF range of yeast, finding them quite good. These are the two I've sort of settled on for most of my brewing, but I have got other ones down at the moment. One's a lager and one's an ale yeast. The manufacturer's website states this ale yeast likes 15 degrees, 18 degrees for the ale yeast, and 12 to 15 for the lager, but it will go as high as 18 degrees on the lager. This will go as high as 23 degrees on the ale. It can operate in those, but I mean, why, if you can set up a fermentation fridge, why not put it at its optimal temperature and keep it at the optimal temperature? You will notice a vast difference in your brew quality buying a good yeast and operating it at the proper temperature. Now, the Cooper's range of yeast in their tins, I've bought the lagers. My home brewing sort of childhood, if you will, was Cooper's tins. I love the Cooper's range. English bitter, European lager, and the Thomas Cooper range. I think in the whole Cooper's range, there is only one beer that states 15 degree fermentation, and that's the Pilsner. The Thomas Cooper Pilsner. That tells me that everything else is running on an ale yeast. Lagers, everything, bitters, everything is running on a ale yeast, because you can do it at 28 degrees. Why brew? Is a lager if it's brewed with an ale yeast? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe some of you guys could answer that for me. I mean, doesn't matter what grain you use or what hops you use. If you use an ale yeast, is it an ale? I don't know. I do know, but yeah. So the more controlled fermentation that you have, the better your beer will be. I guarantee it. Guarantee it. It will keep you interested in this hobby. I almost stopped home brewing because my brews were shitty, until I worked it out, and eBay was my best friend for fridges, and I've bought fridges and they've blown up and, you know, stopped working and all that sort of stuff. And, you know, but I think these fridges here in total, that fridge there was $75 3 years ago. That one was $100, and it's just a fridge only. And that one there was given to me by my next door neighbour. So $175 sitting there. I got 3 fermentation fridges. Temperature controllers, they're a no-brainer. Jump on eBay, get them from China. They're cheap, easy to set up. Multitudes of videos out there on how to wire them up. I may do one of those. I'm wiring a few more up in the next couple of days. I've got my wiring jiggy me pops. I mean, you put it in and screw down and keeps it all nice and neat. You know, keeps all the wires nice and neat. You're not trying to jam 15 wires in the one tiny little hole in the back there. Okay, well, today's a big day. We've got a bit on. I'm not brewing today, but tomorrow I think I'll brew. Tomorrow I'll brew. I've drank just recently a mango beer from somewhere. I can't remember. The wife knows all about it. She read the bottle, and it was amazing beer. It was a Belgium dry with mango in it. And from the taste of it, they definitely did not put the mango in before fermentation. It was sweet. It was just a mind-blowing beer. So I've got a saison there that I did last Sunday, and I've got a heap of mango pulp in the freezer, and a heap of passion fruit pulp, and a heap of pear pulp. So I'm actually thinking about as soon as the fermentation fridge opens up, I'm going to brew that saison. I'm going to boil all that, blend all that pulp up, boil it all, and like boil it to make like a tea out of it, a flavour tea. Blend it so it all loosens up and have like a flavour tea. And then I'm going to strain the pulp off it. Just take the juice, and I'm going to pour the juice in to the fermenter before when I'm ready to keg that beer. So I think that'll be awesome. Passion fruit, pear, mango flavoured tropical fruit. If I can get some cheap bananas, I might even throw some banana in there. I love banana. Might make a tropical fruit saison. See how it goes. I'm halfway there. I've got the saison. I've got half the fruit. May pick up some bananas today. See how that goes. Yeah, I think that'll be nice. That'll be good for Christmas. Hopefully I can get that on for Christmas. Okay, well, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for clicking the thumbs up. I really appreciate everybody out there who's liking these videos. I hope today that, you know, if you retain any of the babble that I've spoke, that you can set your fridge up properly and have it run properly. Just because you can't see the chiller plate doesn't mean it doesn't have one, and doesn't mean it's not icing up. Efficient fermentation fridges is what we want. Yes, at 18 degrees they will drip, 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 so make sure that you've got adequate drainage if it's filling its overflow up in the back. Mine are in my pool room, so they just drain straight out the door. That's good if they drip too much, especially when it's humid. So yeah, happy brewing, and remember, beer makes you smarter.